My brothers and sisters, sometimes the greatest danger in your life is not the stranger outside your home, but the heart sitting right next to you. We often imagine Shaytan whispering from a distance, yet many times he reaches you through the people you trust, the people you love, the people you would never suspect. Not because they are evil, but because they are human. And Shaytan knows exactly where your emotional doors are unlocked. So listen carefully today. This is not about blaming others. This is about recognizing how easily we can be misled when we let our guard down with the wrong influences. One, when love blinds you to what is wrong. My brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful tools Shaitan uses against us is not hatred, it is not anger, it is not violence, it is love. Yes, love, that beautiful gift from Allah that can elevate you when used correctly. But the moment you place someone in your heart above the boundaries set by Allah, that same love becomes a trap that blinds you to what is wrong. Think about this for a moment. When a stranger does something wrong, you notice it immediately. You feel disturbed, irritated, even offended. You might speak up, you might distance yourself. But when someone you love does the same thing, your reaction is totally different. You say, it's okay, that's just how they are. You excuse it, you hide it, you defend it, you even justify it. And without realizing, you start lowering the standards Allah set for you, not because you believe it's right, but because you don't want to lose that person's approval. This is exactly where Shaitan works with surgical precision. He doesn't whisper to you to hate your loved ones. He whispers to you to love them so much that you stop noticing when they're leading you away from Allah. He whispers, don't correct them. You will seem rude. You will upset them. You will lose their closeness. And so you keep quiet. You swallow the truth. You remain silent, even though your heart knows exactly what is happening. Silence in the face of wrongdoing is not patience, it is permission. You may think you're protecting your relationship, but in reality, you are damaging both your own heart and theirs. Because the moment you allow sin to grow unchecked in someone you love, you're indirectly helping Shaitan mislead them. And when you join them, defend them, or stay silent out of fear of tension or conflict, you begin to participate in the very thing that harms your faith. This is why Allah teaches us over and over again in the Quran that emotional attachment must never override truth. Ibrahim ﷺ loved his father deeply, but he did not follow him in shirk. Noah loved his son, but he did not compromise his obedience to Allah. Love never blinded them, because true love doesn't make you hide the truth. It makes you hold on to it even tighter for your own sake and for the sake of the one you love. Now let's bring this into real life. Imagine you have a friend who constantly backbites, insults others, or indulges in haram activities. You feel uncomfortable, but because you enjoy their company or fear losing the friendship, you never speak up. Slowly, their behavior becomes normal to you. You start laughing when they mock someone. You start joining them in gossip. You begin to adopt their habits. You become softer towards sin and harder toward reminders. And by the time you wake up, you've drifted far from the principles you once held firmly. Or look at family. Many people compromise their prayers, their modesty, their halal earnings, or their values simply because their family pushes them into it. A family member asks you to lie on their behalf. Another pressures you to join a gathering that is filled with haram activities. Another mocks your seriousness about deen. Because you love them, you feel guilty refusing them. But every time you obey someone in disobedience to Allah, your heart becomes weaker. And Shaitan celebrates because he didn't have to attack you directly. He used the person you trust the most as his doorway. This happens in relationships too. Someone loves a person so deeply that they overlook their wrong behavior. They tolerate disrespect. They accept haram flirtation. They stay in an unhealthy environment because the fear of losing that person becomes greater than the fear of displeasing Allah. That's how love becomes a blindfold. Shaitan simply nudges the person from behind, and the one blinded by love walks willingly towards sin. But here's the core truth. Love is only safe when Allah is above it. When your love is rooted in faith, it strengthens you. When it is rooted in insecurity or attachment to dunya, it weakens you. Real love wants the other person to become closer to Allah. Fake love wants comfort, attention, validation, or control, even if it means dragging both of you toward harm. If you truly love someone, you don't watch them ruin themselves. You don't stay silent when you see them walking towards sin. You don't let Shaytan use your love as a shield to protect wrongdoing. You speak with gentleness, with wisdom, with compassion, but you speak. Because advice given softly is still better than silence that kills. And if they reject your correction, mock you, or distance themselves, then understand this clearly. Anyone who wants you to compromise your faith to keep them close was never a blessing. They were a test. And Allah removes people from your life when He sees them becoming a threat to your Iman. So ask yourself honestly, has love ever blinded you? Have you allowed sin in your home, your relationships, your friendships because you didn't want conflict? Have you ever chosen the comfort of people over the command of Allah? My brothers and sisters, when love blinds you to sin, Shaytan has already succeeded. But the good news is that you can remove the blindfold anytime. You can realign your heart. You can choose Allah first. And when you do, Allah will fix your relationships, purify your circle, and bring people into your life who love you for His sake, not for their own desires. 2. When a close friend normalizes haram, my brothers and sisters, one of the most subtle traps Shaytan uses against believers is not an obvious sin, not a major downfall, not something that shocks you at first sight. No, it begins with something far smaller, far quieter, far easier to overlook. A friend who makes haram feel normal, not by preaching sin openly, not by pushing you aggressively, but simply by treating disobedience as something casual and harmless. This is how Shaytan operates. He knows that if he tells you to commit a major sin directly, your heart will resist, your conscience will speak, your faith will pull you back. But if he introduces that same sin through someone you trust, someone who makes you laugh, someone who makes you feel comfortable, someone whose presence feels easy, then your heart lowers its guard without even realizing it. Because you're not just influenced, you're influenced by someone you like. Think about it. When a stranger does something wrong in front of you, you feel the discomfort immediately. If someone you don't know backbites, lies, mocks others, uses foul language, or engages in haram entertainment, you stay alert. You sense the danger, but when a close friend does the same thing, you don't react the same way. You tell yourself, it's okay, that's just how we joke. Or you say, it's not that serious. Or worse, you stop noticing it altogether. And this is exactly what Shaytan wants. He doesn't need you to become sinful overnight. He only needs you to stop feeling sin in your heart. He only needs your sense of wrong and right to blur. He only needs you to stop resisting what once bothered your soul. Because the moment you stop resisting, the slide begins. Let's be brutally honest. Many people don't fall into sin because they are evil. They fall because they are surrounded by people who laugh at sin, trivialize it, make it look entertaining, and remove its seriousness. When a friend jokes about something haram, repeats it often, treats it lightly, your heart starts absorbing that attitude. You begin to soften toward the behavior, and once the heart softens toward a sin, committing it becomes easier than you ever expected. Let me give you a simple example. You have a friend who constantly speaks negatively about others. They gossip, they insult, they expose people's faults. At first you're uncomfortable, then you begin to laugh along. Then you start adding your own comments. And in time, this becomes your new normal. Do you think Shaytan needed to tempt you directly? No. He used your friend to turn your heart away from mercy and compassion without you noticing. Or imagine a friend who invites you to places where modesty is ignored, where Allah's boundaries are crossed. They say, come on, don't be so strict. Just relax, everyone does it. At first you feel guilt, then the guilt fades. Then you start enjoying what once troubled you. That is the power of normalization. And Shaytan is the expert of normalization. Shaytan loves the friend who says, come on, it's not that serious. He loves the friend who says it's just a joke. He loves the friend who says, we're young, enjoy life. Because he knows those sentences repeated over time kill your spiritual sensitivity. He knows the heart doesn't corrupt through one big event, it corrupts through repeated exposures that feel harmless. And here's the part most people don't want to admit. The people who normalize haram in your life don't do it because they hate you. They do it because they are trapped themselves. Their hearts have already been softened towards sin. Their standards have already been lowered. They think they are just being fun or relaxed. But what they don't realize is that they've become an instrument for Shaytan, a tool he uses to drag others with them. That's why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us so strongly about choosing friends carefully. One friend will strengthen your faith, and one friend will silently destroy it without ever raising their voice. You don't need someone who lectures you daily. You just need someone who reminds you of Allah simply by how they behave, how they speak, how they carry themselves, what they avoid and what they encourage. Now look at your own life. Think about your circle. Who makes sin feel light to you? Who makes you comfortable with behavior you once avoided? Who pulls you toward gatherings, jokes, conversations, or lifestyles that weaken your connection with Allah? That person might not hate you, but their influence is dangerous, and dangerous influence is often more harmful than dangerous intention. Let me share something deeper. Shaytan doesn't attack your friendship, he attacks your loyalty. He wants you to value the bond more than you value obedience to Allah. He wants you to fear losing your friend, but not fear losing your Iman. He wants you to stay quiet when your friend does wrong, because he knows your silence is easier to achieve than your sin. First he silences you, then he slowly reshapes you. That is his strategy. But there is another side to this. Some of you are that friend to someone else. You may not realize it, but your choices, your jokes, your habits might be normalizing sin for someone who trusts you. You might be the doorway Shaitan uses to reach their heart. And that should shake you. Because causing someone to fall even unintentionally is not something small. This is why we must constantly check our own character. Not just for ourselves, but for the people who walk beside us. So what do you do if you recognize this problem? You don't cut people off harshly. You don't humiliate them. You don't act self-righteous. You simply begin protecting your heart. You set boundaries. You reduce environments that weaken you. You shift conversations. You gently remind them when appropriate. And if someone refuses to respect your values, then step back quietly. You are not obligated to stay close to anyone who pulls you away from Allah. My brothers and sisters, a friend who normalizes haram is not harmless. They are one of Shaitan's easiest tools. And the most dangerous part is that the harm doesn't feel like harm. It feels like fun, comfort, belonging, but the price is paid with your heart. 3. When family pressure pushes you away from Allah, my brothers and sisters, this is one of the hardest realities to face. And most people are too afraid to talk about it honestly. Sometimes the people who share your blood, the people you love, respect, and grew up with, become the very force that pulls you away from Allah. Not because they are villains, but because they are human beings shaped by habits, culture, ego, and desires. And Shaitan knows this. He knows that you fear disappointing your family more than disappointing Allah. So he uses that fear against you. Let's be real. When a stranger mocks you for praying, you ignore them. When a co-worker belittles your modesty, you don't care. But when your own mother tells you, "Why are you so religious suddenly?" Or your father says, "Stop acting like a sheikh." Or your siblings roll their eyes at your attempt to improve, it hits differently.